Welcome back to Talkin Fight and another episode of Boxing News Today on this fine hump day, Wednesday, as Mike Gore would call it. We're going to start off with a little news out of Badou Jack's camp, who's set to go toe-to-toe against Samuel Cross down in Dubai. Former super middleweight, light heavyweight, and world champion global philanthropist Badou Jack, who's 24-3-3 with 14 knockouts, is finalizing his preparations and training camp in Dubai for his first campaign at cruiserweight. His fight against Samuel Cross, he's 11-1-1, 7 knockouts scheduled for November 26th. That's this weekend. Will be Jack's first in the division, with eyes set on the third division world title. The 10-round bout, co-promoted by Badou Jack Promotions and Probellum, will be on the D4G VIP invite-only event at the Dubai Business Park. My main objective is to become a 3-division world champion, and it starts this Friday in Dubai, said Jack from his recent training camp in Dubai. Samuel Cross is the first person in my way of that goal. I trained really hard and can't wait to put on a show for my fans here in Dubai. Badou has always wanted to fight in the UAE in front of his massive fan base there, Badou Jack's CEO Emir Abdullah stated. This is Badou's first fight moving up. So after a successful initial bout, God willing, Badou will start targeting title holders in the cruiserweight division. You can read much more on the story at boxing247.com. Elsewhere, we see the Isaac Cruz training camp. Some notes for his upcoming bout against Tank Davis. Hard-hitting lightweight contender Isaac Pitbull Cruz has embraced the underdog role, hitting into a showdown against WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Tank Davis, which headlines a Showtime pay-per-view event on Sunday, December 5th, to be held down in Staples Center, LA. I have proven time and time again that my drive and desire to be champion is too big to be ignored, said Cruz. This fight won't be the exception. I'm going to pull off the upset, and a brand new star will be born December 5th. The 23-year-old Cruz has put together a 21-fight unbeaten streak heading into this first world title clash, including most recently defeating former champion Francisco Vargas by unanimous decision live on Showtime back in June. And now he prepares to face the fast-moving star Tank Davis. Cruz brings the hunger of an underdog into every aspect of his training. He says, my motivation to be at my very best for this fight is the biggest key for me day in and day out. Cruz, this is the fight that I've always dreamed of. The work we do in the gym, the runs I go on, and the conditioning drills I push through are all fueled by my motivation to make the most of this opportunity. Elsewhere, 15-0 Denis Berinchyk faces Isaac Cheniev in Ukraine on December 18th. WBO International Lightweight title holder Denis Berinchyk, who's 15-0-0 with 9 knockouts, will face ex-challenger for the title, IBF title, Isaac Cheniev, who's 15-3-0 with 7 knockouts from Russia in the main event of K2 Promotion Show on December 18th in Terminal Brovary Ice Arena. The show will be supported by Harry Match Ukraine and shown live on Migogo. Denis, 15 wins and 15 fights with 9 knockouts, as I said, got WBO Oriental Lightweight belt and is holding the WBO International Lightweight title at the moment. He's currently ranked number 3 in WBO and number 8 IBF. Last time Berinchyk entered the ring in March of this year when he won over the Chilean Jose Sanchez by technical knockout in the 3rd round. After that, Denis tried his hand at bare-knuckle fights and KO'd Russian star Artem Lobov. As I said, much more on that fight coming up, and you can see that at boxing247.com for more information. Gilberto Ramirez not looking past Yuniesky Gonzalez to Dimitri Bivol. 2 months is at stake for Gilberto Zudo Ramirez, for the undefeated Mexican to look past his December 18th showdown with Yuniesky the Monster Gonzalez, who's 21-3 with 17 knockouts, to World Boxing Association light heavyweight world champion Dimitri Bivol. Not only is a mandatory challenger position at stake against the Cuban-born Gonzalez, the perfect 42-0 with 28 knockouts record is also on the line for Zurdo in his 12-round WBA light heavyweight title eliminator, which will be streamed live from San Antonio, Texas on DAZN. It should be noted that Ramirez's promoter is Golden Boy Promotions, and they are presenting this event. He said, I never look past any of my opponents, so I don't have to avoid looking past Gonzalez in this fight. I know Gonzalez is a come-forward fighter who likes to bang and fight, so I need to be careful with my approach. Just like any other fighter, my preparation for this fight has not changed. My team and I are still focused and never look beyond what's in front of me. Gonzalez is 36 years of age, has won his last 3 fights, 5 of 6, including the vacant WBC Fedelatin Light Heavyweight Championship 2 fights ago, which he captured with a second-round knockout over Alex Theran, who's 22-4, down in Miami. Elsewhere, we see that some news out of Errol Spence. He says his next fight will be a big one in either February or March. Errol, the truth, Spence, because there's an awful lot of chatter about this division. So I have a couple of stories about this particular division coming up. Here we go. Starting with Errol Spence. Errol, the truth, Spence, revealed last Saturday night that he'll be returning to the ring in February or March at 147 for a big fight against a still-to-be-determined opponent. Errol, who's 27-0 with 21 knockouts, will be coming off a 14 to 15-month layoff when he returns to the ring, but he's still ready to take on an elite-level fighter. The candidates for Spence's next fight are expected to be Terence Crawford, Eudenis Ugas, Virgil Ortiz, and even Kuriltilo Atakarov. He's the WBO welterweight champion right now, Crawford, and he's campaigning hard to be the next opponent for Spence. Whether he gets the fight will be likely determined by the pay-per-view numbers, which were quite high against Sean Porter, as well as reaction. And we see that Crawford is already looking past Porter. And it says in this article I found on, where is this article? Boxing News 24. Like a glutton, Crawford, 37-0, isn't satisfied with the filet mignon that's on his plate. He wants some tasty ribeye steak and targeting Canelo for that lottery money. Chris Williams can't say he blames WBO welterweight champion Crawford for wanting that green that he can get fighting Canelo. We've seen Alvarez transform average fighters, Caleb Plant, Ivney Dirim, Billy Joe Saunders, Rocky Fielding, Callum Smith, to name a few, into instant millionaires with his golden Midas-like touch. And if these ordinary fighters can get the Canelo millions, why not Crawford? In upcoming news, Teofimo Lopez has warned George Kambosos Jr. that God will humble him for disrespecting his family when he defends his IBF, WBO, WBA, WBC franchise, and Ring Magazine World Lightweight titles on Saturday night. That's this Saturday night, November 27th, at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden in New York, to be shown on DAZN. Lopez, who's 16-0 with 12 knockouts, finally puts his belts on line against his IBF mandatory, ending a long-running saga between the champion and the unbeaten Australian, with 2 previous attempts to stage the fight having fallen through. The takeover has been out of the ring for over a year since adding Vasily Lomachenko belts to his IBF crown in Las Vegas last October in a stunning display. It returns to the city of his birth, where he set up that fight with a brutal knockout win over Richard Comey at Madison Square Gardens in December 2019. The 24-year-old is out to prove that he's the new people's champion, following in the footsteps of the great Muhammad Ali. And he'll show that with a punishing knockout win over ferocious Kambosos Jr. You have to know your place, and on Saturday, God is going to humble this man through me, said Lopez. A lot of these people are so ambitious, and that's okay. You have to be. But the thing is, sometimes you just don't get it because you probably won't carry it the right way. You're not going to be a people's champ. You're going to spend your money on yourself rather than giving back like a lot of fighters do. Elsewhere, Floyd Mayweather Jr. says he wants to see Canelo Alvarez tested by him facing David Benavidez at 168. Mayweather pointed out to the media at the WBC convention that there are other fighters besides Canelo that deserve credit as well. The superstar Mayweather then mentioned Gervonta Tank Davis, who I mentioned earlier, Terence Crawford, who I mentioned earlier, and Errol Spence Jr., who I mentioned earlier, and Benavidez as fighters that should be getting the same amount of attention from the media as Canelo. Mayweather's suggestion that Canelo, who's 57-1-2 with 39 knockouts, to take on former 2-time WBC super middleweight champion Benavidez, who's 25-0 with 22 knockouts. It's one the boxing public has been pushing with for no luck, as the Mexican star doesn't seem interested in taking that risky fight. We like Canelo Alvarez, but Gervonta Davis, Errol Spence, and Terence Crawford, there are so many other great fighters out there, said Floyd Mayweather Jr. to the media at the WBC convention last week. David Benavidez is a hell of a fighter also. That's a good test for Canelo. Canelo looked superb the other night against Caleb Plant. He went out there, got the job done, did what he's supposed to do as a fighter. That's Canelo, had the chance to clash two undefeated fighters, and we gave people what they wanted to see in 2013, said Mayweather about his fight with Alvarez 8 years ago, in which he won by a 12-round majority decision. So for my last article, also courtesy of Boxing News 24, Canelo Alvarez trainer and manager Eddie Reynoso says two-time WBC super middleweight champion David Benavidez isn't the right fighter many boxing fans believe him to be. Reynoso questions the credentials of undefeated Benavidez. He's 25-0, as I said earlier, asking which champions he has beaten and how many unification fights he has had during his 8-year professional career. It appears that the pressure from fans on Canelo is starting to get to Reynoso, who now is seemingly justifying why the Mexican star shouldn't have to ace Benavidez. Reynoso sounds like he's trying to stop an approaching problem in Benavidez by devaluing his accomplishments, hoping the fans will join in and dismiss him. Unfortunately, this trick that Reynoso is trying isn't going to work. He can discredit Benavidez' past accomplishments all he wants, but the fans are still going to demand that Canelo fight him because they recognize talent when they see it. Moreover, the fans are tired of seeing Canelo fight paper champions, which he's been doing almost exclusively for the past 3 years. Quote, David Benavidez is a good fighter, but for me, he has not achieved what people think. My respects to him, but how many champions has he beaten? How many defenses has he made? How many unifications has he completed? Said Canelo's trainer-manager Eddie Reynoso to Fox Deportes. And that, my friends, concludes today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell when you want to see me coming up next or any of our featured hosts here on Talkin' Fight.